Are you sending out hundreds of cold emails, messages, and video audits and getting close to 0 responses? If you are, then this video is probably for you. Now, if you are new to my channel, my name is Jaime and I run one of the leading e-commerce agencies in the world where we take e-commerce brands and we transform them into market leaders. Now, I'm at a point with my agency where I'm currently booking in over 100 meetings each month, pretty much on autopilot. And I've done quite a few videos on my channel on that already, but it wasn't always like this. In fact, when I started my agency, I was struggling to get one single response to my email outreach. So I've definitely come a long way in the 2+ years that I've been running my agency. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to share with you some of these strategies, some of the things that I've learned from testing a ton of different variables, iterating according to feedback, and battle testing these concepts. Strategies that have allowed me to go from 0 with my agency to $50,000 a month profit. So I'm really excited for this video because I know it's going to be of a ton of value to those of you who are struggling with your outreach or just want to take things up a level with your agency. So if you want to know more, all you got to do is keep on watching. So I'm going to be going in ascending order of importance. So the 5th thing that you need to implement into your outreach strategy to get prospects to reply to you is you want to reach out to them where they're actually hanging out. So the first part of making this strategy work is understanding who you're serving, right? What is your specific sector? Is it local business or is it e-commerce? Hopefully you've realized that e-commerce is definitely the way to go if you've been watching my channel. And once you picked your sector, you want to pick your sub niche in that sector. Okay. Once you picked your sub niche, you want to get a crystal clear idea as to where those prospects are hanging out. For example, let's say that you've picked a sub niche within the e-commerce sector. What we do know just by the nature of their business is that typically e-commerce owners spend most of their time online. We also know that typically they're much more well versed with social media and the online world than most local businesses. And so, for example, a restaurant owner might spend most of his or her time running around the restaurants, taking calls, managing their team. And so they're not really spending much of their time on email or LinkedIn. Whereas an e-commerce owner is spending a lot more time on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on email than a local business owner. And so depending on where they're hanging out, different platforms are going to be better suited for that specific niche. And so that is the 5th thing that you want to implement. You want to make sure that you're actually reaching out to them where you can get deliverability with them, where they're not going to see you as a complete nuance. The 4th thing that you want to keep in mind is you want to understand the context of each platform and you want to play the game accordingly. Here's the thing, if you're copying your email outreach and pasting it onto LinkedIn, no one is going to believe that you're writing big paragraphs on LinkedIn, okay? And so social media is very much different to email, and email is very much different to a video audit, and a video audit is very much different to a cold call, right? So you need to understand the context of different platforms. For example, with social media, a rule that I go by is you want to type like a 16-year-old girl. And what I mean by that is not so much the language, but the frequency and the type of text that you want to be sending. You don't want to be sending long paragraphs. Instead, you want to be sending shorter and punchier messages. With email, for example, a video component to that email, for example, adding a video audit or some sort of email component to your video is going to be much more effective. Why? Because they cannot quite connect a face to the email. And as humans, we like to connect with humans. We like to speak to humans, right? And so when you get a cold email and you can link it to a face, then you're much more likely to ignore it because you haven't actually built empathy towards that person, right? But if you record a video for that person, especially on email, that's going to be much more effective because you're going to be able to break through that 3rd wall. Now, with social media on the flip side, you might consider creating a profile funnel. What I mean by that is making sure that you have an optimized profile before you actually start sending messages. I feel like a lot of people do not even consider their profile when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, right? And they start reaching out to people. A large percentage of people are going to go ahead and they're going to check out your profile, right? You don't need to have thousands of followers. You just need to have an optimized profile that builds authority and ideally has a bit of social proof. With LinkedIn, for example, you can make the effort of getting a lot of endorsements or recommendations on your profile, which is really not that hard to do. Another thing that you could do is you could take Sundays off, right, and write a bunch of different posts for LinkedIn. And again, you don't need to have thousands of followers. You don't need to have a very edited video, for example. You just need to have a bit of content that builds social proof, that tells the prospects that you're reaching out to that you know what you're talking about, and most importantly, so that they can connect a face to a message. And so that is the 4th strategy that you want to implement to get people to reply to you. Make sure that you understand the context of each platform. If you're reaching out on email, make sure that you add either an image component or a video component. If you're reaching out on social media, make sure that you have a profile funnel in place. So that is the 4th strategy, and on to the 3rd one. So these next 3 points are insanely vital, and I thought I'd change the scenery up a bit. But before we get into it, a friendly reminder to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you're enjoying this video so far, I'd really appreciate it if you just gently tap the like button and you make it turn into a very sexy blue. The algorithm just loves when you do that, and I'd really appreciate it. And with that being said, the 3rd strategy that you want to make sure you put in place in your outreach to make sure that you get a lot more responses is you want to approach your prospects with an irresistible offer. Let me explain what I mean by this. I see so many agency owners reach out to prospects with a very very weak call to action. Like for example, hey, do you want to jump on a call and see how we could help you, right? Or something along those lines. Come on, they're getting tons of messages like that and you're not adding any value to them. And instead what you're doing is you're asking something from them that is very precious, which is their time. What you want to do instead is you want to determine your irresistible offer. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you future project the value they're going to get from that call to a point where they're almost getting fear of missing out. What you're talking about is so tangible. Maybe on that email, you reveal some of the strategies that you're going to cover on that call. It is so incredibly valuable as well. Like for example, strategies that we include on our paid consultations that now if they don't take your offer, they'll be missing out big time. So that is the third strategy that you want to implement to get people to reply to you. Make sure that that call to action is irresistible. Make sure that you get them to future project as to what they can expect on whatever you're pitching to them with your outreach. And now onto the second strategy. The second strategy that you want to make sure you implement in your outreach to get people to reply to you is you want to come at them with positive emotions and not negative emotions. It is honestly absurd the amount of people that I see come at prospects, I'm talking CEOs, CMOs, with negative emotions. Hey, you're leaving money on the table. Hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, right? And here's the thing, as humans, we do things either out of inspiration or desperation. Now, a lot of people think that by framing things negatively, for example, here are the things that you're doing wrong, that is going to be much more effective on people because people are trying to move out of desperation, right? People are trying to move out of negative emotions. Now, here is the thing, moving out of desperation is only a choice that that person can make internally. I'm sure you know the typical person, maybe someone in your family or a close friend of yours who wants a better life, right? And you know they're not very happy, you know that they're not very successful, and you're trying to help them out, you're trying to help them to move up in life, but they just don't take the necessary action to do so. And the reason why that is because internally something has to click for them. They have to want to change to move up in life. Not only that, but oftentimes the more you tell them to do something, right, the more they're gonna actually shut themselves off and the less they're actually gonna implement. The same thing applies for emails. When you come at a CEO or a CMO, especially a person that they don't really know, and you come at them with negative emotions, they're gonna block themselves off, right? What you wanna do instead is you wanna come at them with a collaborative mindset. You are there to help them. You're there to partner with them, right? To help them grow their business. You're not there to judge them on what they're doing and tell them what they're doing is wrong. And so talking about the strategies they could implement to generate more revenue and also talking about the cost of not implemented said strategies is going to be much more effective. Sure, you want to talk about the cost of not implementing some of the mentioned strategies because otherwise it's not going to be effective, right? We don't want to be too nice, right? But we want to start off with positive emotions. We want to reel them in. Telling them that, hey, we are here to collaborate with you. We're here to help you out. We're not here to attack you straight away. The final thing that you want to keep in mind on this topic is that a lot of people don't want to be told what they're doing wrong because, again, as I said, it creates negative emotions. This happens to me and to most people. Oftentimes, we know what we're doing wrong. We know what we should be doing better, right? But sometimes we want to kind of elude it, right? We want to run away from it. And so oftentimes there's massive pain attached to someone calling you out on it, right? Now, it's incredibly valuable if you hire a mentor, right, to help you with it, or you hire a consultant to help you with it, but they start to have a true impact on that person. And I apply this for my mentorship students as well. You want to meet that person where they're currently at. Only then can you have a true impact and help them move up in life, in their business, and whatever you're helping them with. So that is the second strategy that you want to keep in mind. You don't want to create negative emotions right from the bat. You want to come at them in a collaborative mindset. So that is the second strategy, and now onto the final one. The final strategy that you want to implement in your outreach to get more responses from prospects is understanding their internal motives, understanding who you're speaking to and understanding what actually moves that person. For example, let's just say you're speaking to a founder. A founder of a company is going to resonate with things that are very, very different to an external CEO, meaning a CEO that hasn't founded that company. A CMO is going to act very different to a CEO. Okay? It's very, very important that you understand the internal motives. For example, a founder who's founded that company is much more emotionally attached to the company. The company is almost like their baby. So when you come at them with something more emotional, that's going to resonate with them more, right? Whereas a CEO may be more logical and may be purely driven by growth and revenue, right? Growing the revenue of the company and maybe possibly looking good in front of the founder. That is the external CEO, and maybe a CMO is completely different. A CMO is an employee, so they want to keep their job, and maybe they want to look good in front of the CEO. So their motives are completely different. And the way you approach a CMO must be much more logical than a founder, right? You cannot hit them with emotion as much as you can with a founder who's actually founded the company, who sees the company as their baby, okay? Another key thing regarding their internal motives is their decision-making power. For example, oftentimes the CMO does not have the decision-making power or is not as easily swayed to book in a call with you straight away, right? Whereas a founder or a CEO has the decision-making power because they're calling the shots. So it's incredibly important not to just think about what you're writing in those emails, but also who you're speaking to, right? Who is going to be the receiver? Who is on that receiving end, and how should I speak to them to get them to take action, to move them internally, right? So that is the first and final strategy to get more prospects to reply to your outreach. Now, if you've gotten to this point of the video, it probably means that you found a bit of value out of it. So if you did, I'd really appreciate if you made that ugly, great looking like button turn blue. Also, if you haven't subbed to my channel, there's so much content coming out on entrepreneurship, social media marketing, agency, and a ton of other really cool topics. So if you don't want to miss that, go ahead and sub to my channel, hit the little bell icon so you never miss an update. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you want to join a like-minded community full of people looking to scale their agency and level up in life, you can go ahead and check out the link in the description. That is the link to my free Facebook mastermind. Go ahead and apply, and if you're a good fit, we will let you in. And as always, hope everything's going well in your journey, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.